All right, in this video, we're going to be looking at how to host unlimited automations with N8N by running their community edition and hosting it on your own server, which we'll be hosting on a provider called Render. So in order to do this, the easiest way is going to be to go to GitHub. If you don't have an account, go to github.com, and in the search bar, you're going to type N8N, and it's going to be N8N-IO, the first one here. Click into that. You're going to go over to fork, and you're going to fork the repository. Now what this is going to do, it's going to create your own copy within your own account. So you can name it whatever you want, create fork. I'm not going to do that because I've already forked it. Once you've done that, it will then show up, like I said, in your own repositories, which is your own account. I'm currently behind, which we'll look at in a second, how to handle that. But the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go over to a software called Render. You're going to create an account. Once you've created an account, you are going to go New Web Service. As you can see, I've already done it, but you wouldn't see anything here. So you'd click Web Service, and if you're signed into GitHub, it will show all your repositories. So you'll click the one you want to connect. You'll click Connect, and then you name it whatever you want. You don't have to change the language, the branch, the location, the build or start commands. Pick whatever type of instant you want. You could do it with free. However, as you can see here, it'll spin down after periods of inactivity, and it does not have a persistent disk, which means you'll lose data. So go with the starter account is probably the best thing. And then we're going to add some environment variables after as well. You could do it here, but we'll look at it in a different section. So once you've connected it, it will then say deploying, and it will take a little bit of time before it says deployed. What you can do is you can go into the instance, and we're going to add those environment variables that I talked about. So you're going to go to environment, and then first thing you're going to want to add is the node version. Now, in order to find the node version, right now it's 20.15. If you go to GitHub and you look at the package.json, it should show the node engine in there, which it does, currently 20.15. That's where that number comes from. I would also recommend adding a webhook URL. The reason I've done that is because let's say I want to create a workflow in N8N and I want to use something like a Google Calendar or a Google account or whatever it may be, then what will happen is within the Google Cloud Console, I'll have to give a callback URL. And if I don't set up a webhook URL, what will happen is this OAuth redirect URL will show a local host, which Google will not allow you to send back to a local host. So what I've done here is within Render, I've simply taken my URL of where my instance of N8N is hosted on Render, which is this, copy that, and then I've just pasted it in there. And as you can see, N8N-7ZNB now becomes the webhook URL that is used for all my redirects. So that's why I put that there. And one more thing I would also recommend is installing a disk. And the reason I've done this is because if we're commits behind, like we looked at before, just go back here, I'll go through it. So right now we're 16 commits behind, and anytime updates are made to the main repository within GitHub, you'll end up being a number of commits behind. So what you can do is you can go sync fork. It says the branch is out of date. I'm going to update the branch, and now if we go back to Render and we look at my dashboard, it's redeploying because it's updating everything. Now, if you didn't have a persistent disk, or if you didn't have a disk, then what would happen is when you spin up your account again, then it would be blank. You would lose everything. So we need a place to store all of our information, and that's why we do a disk. So in order to do that, let's go to disk. I've already added one. That's why you're seeing the usage, which is very little. But the mount path is going to be this exactly here, /home/node/period N8N. The size, 1 GB is probably going to be more than enough for what you need. And then it's as simple as that. And what that'll allow you to do now is, like I said, when we reboot this service after it's done redeploying after the commits are updated, I will still see all of my workflows that I have in N8N, and it's as simple as that. So if you like this sort of content and you want to see more of it, or you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.